Welcome to Design Downtime, the podcast where we celebrate the joys of living a balanced creative life. I'm your host, Guy Siegel, a design director in Toronto, Canada, and I invite you to join me on this journey as we redefine what it means to be a successful design professional. Let's break free from the shackles of hustle culture and embrace the full spectrum of human experience, because life is too precious to be spent only in pursuit of productivity. Today, I'm delighted to talk to Connie Chen. Connie is an accomplished UX designer and mentor with over 10 years of experience. Starting her career as a graphic designer in Boston, she later transitioned to UX design in California, where she contributed to companies such as Ancestry, Apple, and Dell EMC. After a transformative 2-year sabbatical, she now works as a UX designer at Disney on the enterprise design team, where she supports tools and platforms for Disney's global supply chain and distribution processes for films and TV shows worldwide. Connie, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. And today you want to talk to us about one of your favorite topics, drag queens.
Yes, that's right. Drag queens for life. I guess my interest in drag queens I guess I got exposed to it back in 2009 when RuPaul's Drag Race Season 1 first appeared. And it was a really great show, but for whatever reason, I just did not keep up with that. And I just remember RuPaul was the first face for MAC Cosmetics representing the Viva Glam Lipstick AIDS Fund. And at that time, I was starting to get really into makeup. So that's how I knew about RuPaul. And then to see that RuPaul is doing this competition show, I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And then, I think my interest peaked back up in 2016, early 2017, because I actually went to my first drag show in March 2017 in San Francisco at the Palace of Fine Arts. The event was called Haters Roast, and it's where former contestants from RuPaul's Drag Race would simply roast each other. There was a drag queen named Kimchi, and other drag queens were making fun of her for just fat jokes basically. And then when it was her turn to go, she was like, oh, well, all my fans give me these Chipotle gift cards, so it's not my fault that I'm fat. So it's that kind of sassy banter going back and forth. It's really great. And then from there, I was just going to drag events by myself, which was fun regardless if you go alone or you go with a group. What I've learned by going to these events, it's always a really guaranteed good time. Definitely made some friends along the way and discovered someone like Gina Ann also loves Drag Race, so that really bonded our friendship. And then drag became a real prominent thing for me during, I believe, June 2017. Unfortunately, I was hospitalized, and during that time, season 9 of RuPaul's Drag Race was airing. And, it was just my first time being hospitalized. I was there for a week. It was not fun getting woken up at 5 a.m. to get your blood taken, all this stuff. It was just a nightmare, and it was a really isolating experience. And as grateful as I am for how kind the medical staff was, it just still wasn't enough to kind of shake you out of that rut, because you're just hooked up to an IV and all this stuff. And this one show just came on, and you're limited to what you can watch at the hospital, by the way. So I was like, oh, cool, VH1. And then I just started watching it, and it was something that just really made me happy and laugh again. And there was this genuine, I guess, bit of hope that I really needed in that moment. And since then, it's just I don't know, I really felt like drag in some ways, as corny as it sounds, really saved me. I've gone to a lot of these drag events and got to meet some of the queens from that season, and I've been able to attend these meet and greets which is also definitely worth the extra money. But I've got to personally thank them, you really helped me out in a time where everything just felt alone. And I think a lot of people underestimate how strong of a community drag race fans are, or just the drag community, or like that drag is art really. And people have these assumptions about it. And until you take yourself to like these events, like you just kind of feel this abundance of positivity and kindness. Like it's very, very rare that you'd ever come across someone being mean and nasty. Like no one really tolerates that. And it's like extra sweet when you see like the parent bring their child and they're all like in makeup and the parent probably wear makeup too with their kid. And it's really cute to see them being exposed to it so young, because like I grew up with very traditional old-fashioned parents and they would be like, what the hell is this? So there are definitely annual drag queen events that I like have to go to every year, like Work the World Tour. That's really great. You see like a variety of different queens from RuPaul's Drag Race, and it's just like, I don't know, it makes musicals look like trash. It's just on like next level. Like the production is like amazing. The costumes, like it's so good. Another good one is a drag queen Christmas. I think the one that I've gone to several times was in Seattle, but they do it all over. And one of like my favorite moments was when I did go to one in Seattle, and it was of a queen. It's terrible. I don't remember which season she was on, but her name was Chi Chi Devane, and like, she unfortunately has like passed away. But it was so nice to like see her sing in person for the first time, and like she sang Silent Night, and it was just like, oh, it's perfect. And I'm so glad I recorded that because I at least have that memory. So when I heard she passed, it was just like, oh my gosh. And then there's these two drag queens, Benda LaCreme and Jinx Monsoon. They are also Seattle based, and they do a holiday show called the Jinx and Dela Holiday Show. And the theme of it is different every year. So like don't feel obligated to watch RuPaul's Drag Race just in order to attend these shows, because even without any context, it's just super funny. Like my favorite theme that they did was like, a couple of years ago. It was one like I felt like everybody was into like the whole multiverse. And they did something so creative with that. And I don't know. And they tie it into the holidays somehow. And so that's something I look forward to every year to see what else they come up with. And it's interesting that I recognize a lot of their like backup dancers because they also perform locally in Seattle for this burlesque nutcracker show. So it's really nice to see like everybody kind of supporting each other in different ways for this whole production to happen. And then I think if like anybody had to attend the ultimate drag queen event, it'd be RuPaul's Drag Con. I went to that in, I believe, was it June 2023 during part of my sabbatical. And oh my gosh, it was like the Super Bowl of drag race. Because you walk in, it's like pink carpet, like just so much pink everywhere, and you're just gasping at all the vendor booths, like drag queen booths that's gonna be there. And I remember I had like talked to myself about like, oh man, that'd be cool if they had RuPaul's Drag Race Monopoly, and they actually did. I was like, oh shit, I need this. And so I actually purchased it, and yeah, it was just, again, it's so nice to be in this like safe space, knowing that everyone is there to have a good time. And yeah, it like got to meet like some of like the sweetest queens. Actually met a couple that were based in Canada, like Canada's Drag Race. There's one, I think she lives in Toronto, I'm not sure, but her name is Suki Doll. And she was so sweet. Like she did a performance, and I don't know, I felt like we had this like Asian sister bond. I was like, girl, I got you. If you're ever in San Francisco, make it both fun. She's like, "Yeah, girl." I was like, yes. So yeah, like I feel like it's really interesting not only to watch a show to see how creative they are when it comes to the challenges, but it's really interesting to learn about like the queen's background and how they got into drag, or the like story behind their name. And like some of these stories are like just sad. They probably turned a negative, I don't know, name into something positive for them, embracing that in such a different way. And I find that to be like just so powerful. And you see how far a lot of these queens have come. And I don't know, I feel like there's a drag queen for everybody to like. And also like drag kings are like not as often talked about either, and they're pretty great too. I've seen a couple of them here locally in San Francisco, and I don't know, they're just as amazing. Would love to see more drag kings. So yeah.
I want to go back to the beginning for you. So you said your first kind of exposure was to RuPaul's, first season of Drag Race. When did it go from being, something entertaining you're watching into, okay, this is something that I'm really into, or I want to be part of that?
I think a lot of it had to do with during that time. I believe I mentioned it was like 2016, 2017. I got really into it. So at that time, I was living in California for about 3 years, 4 years at that point, and I had a really tough time adjusting. It was really, really difficult to make friends, like, finding a job, like all of that, whatever entails when you move to a whole new state. And I just was kind of like tired of trying to make friends that were simply flaky. There's no other way to put it. Californians are flaky. And, so I just decided, what, I'm gonna embrace doing things by myself and have fun with it. And if I meet some cool people along the way, then that's fine too. And so, when I went to these drag queen events on my own, like in the beginning, it was kind of nerve-wracking because it's like, oh, what the hell? Like, I feel like a total loner with no friends. And it's like, but I am a loner with no friends. And over time, it's like you get more comfortable. You have like really organic conversations with people, and people, like, I don't know, I just can't express enough how kind they are. And yeah, everyone is there for the right reasons. No one's there to be like full out bitchy. Everyone's just there, like, complimenting each other, just like being really nice, talking about like maybe the current season of RuPaul's Drag Race. And yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like now Drag Race has like had its whole moment where it's just fully exploded. And it has so many different franchises, which for me personally, it's gotten incredibly overwhelming because there's like Drag Race Philippines, there's like Drag Race France, like there's so many, and it's so cool to see like these different queens from like other countries. But yeah, like I feel like season, I think 15 is the winner. Her name is Sasha Colby, gorgeous transgender woman from Hawaii. Like I feel like she is like my ultimate RuPaul's Drag Race queen. And if you ever get to see her perform live, like, oh, it's incredible. And I'm gonna see her in September, and she does like these really cute dedications to her background of like growing up in Hawaii. So she does like a cute little hula moment, but then like immediately turns into like a super sassy, bitchy lip sync, and it's like everything. Like she did like this really interesting move where it looks like she's holding like a compact mirror, and then she's like patting her face with like powder. But the way she did it was just like, oh my god, you make like voguing and whatever you want to call it so much more fun. And it makes me feel like, all like these design challenges people get when it comes to like job interviews. I'm like, why can't we just have like a Vogue challenge? Or like, I don't know, why don't you like lip sync to a song? Let's see how well you do against the design director or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's just like all this like silliness, but like I said, it's always a guaranteed good time.
What makes drag different from, let's say, a singer, right? Someone who goes on stage and either dances or sings. What is that extra thing that makes drag drag?
I feel like they interpret somebody's song and make it their own, but still is respectful to the artist of the song, right? So like they'll have their own way of like when it comes to outfits, or like while they're performing, there are reveals that they'll do. Like the winner for season 9 of RuPaul's Drag Race, Sasha Velour, during her final lip sync, she's a bald queen, so she never really wears a wig. But this one time, she wears like this gorgeous like red like finger waved wig, and she reveals like rose petals dropping. It was just like, oh my god, you just took this song to a whole nother level that like I didn't know could go there. And so it's like little things like that, and how they like dance to the song. They will add some quirkiness. Like they really make that performance their own. Like, for example, I believe it was one of the drag queen Christmas shows I went to, and there was a drag queen named Jan Sport. Yeah, and she was lip syncing to Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas. And right when she's about to hit the chorus, it's like, All I Want for Christmas is, and it's like car alarms. And it's like, oh my God, I did not know you could lip sync to car alarms. And like, so it's like, that is the type of creativeness that like I appreciate because there are queens that could easily lip sync to any other song, but the way that they put a spin to make it their own, like I've never looked at car alarms like the same since that performance or any kind of alarm. I'm like, oh, that's something for a drag queen to lip sync.
So you're watching RuPaul's Drag Race, and then one day you go to your first drag show. I'm assuming you have certain assumptions or expectations of what's going to happen there. How was it? What was that first time?
I actually didn't have any expectations. I was just more of like, I'm this loner going to a show by myself, which is like terrible to think of that, like, of yourself. But, that's all I was thinking about. But the first time seeing a drag queen in person, I was like, oh my God, these are my Disney princesses. Now I know what every little girl feels like meeting, like, I don't know, like Ariel or whoever, because they were just gorgeous. I mean, I could draw a mean gradient brow, but they take it to like a whole nother level. And it's like, oh my God, that is like just a flawless, I don't even know. It's just like incredible. And like the fact that they can wear like crazy, like 5-inch heel, like if I even wore like 3-inch heel, feel like I would immediately eat shit. So it's just like, oh my God, the amount of like effort that they put into their look. Some of these queens spend like hours on end just to get ready. And it's been interesting even seeing some of their process of like how they would like prep their face. If they were trying to hide their actual like eyebrows, like they use like a glue stick, specifically the purple glue stick, just like glue down the brows and they put some makeup over it to kind of conceal so they can draw whatever they want over. So it's really, really interesting. I've never taken any makeup tips from them, but hey, I'm not mad if I have to. So
A big part of the identity of a drag performer is their name. And it's something that'll be talked about before recording. Talk to me about the meaning of choosing the name.
I feel like it has to have some kind of influence on your personality, right? So, like, there's a drag queen named Naomi Smalls, and it's a nod to Naomi Campbell, the model, because that drag queen kind of like embodies that model-esque persona. And then Smalls, in regards to Biggie Smalls, the rapper. So it's like you're morphing two of your favorite people together. But then like one of my favorite drag queen, her name is Katya Zamalachkova. And it's like, where the fuck did you get that from? And she embodies being this trashy Russian hooker, and it's so funny. And it's funny because I got to meet her one time, and she's also a Massachusetts native, and she was doing this like really funny YouTube skit, and I told her, I was like, oh yeah, I'm from like this part of Boston, and like she's like, oh, you trashy whore, and I was like, thank you. It's just like the highest compliment. Or even if like a drag queen compliments you at all, it's like, oh my God, like this means more than my college degree. So, but yeah, like I am always curious about like how they go about their names. Like, there's another drag queen named Trixie Motel, and I believe like her stepdad was very abusive and just toxic, and would basically tease them about being gay and refer to them as like Trixie as a negative way, but she put a spin on it where she's embracing that name, and it's almost kind of like she refers to herself as like of like a Barbie, and her makeup aesthetic is very different. It's not like your typical like I guess like pageant beauty. Like she has like these really stark white makeup under her eyes, and everything's very exaggerated. And then she does that because she wants to make sure people from the back of the room can see her makeup, which, that makes a lot of sense. So, yeah.
So you're saying that essentially there's no right or wrong when picking a drag name?
No, I think it's like whatever you decide. Like I've joked around that Lady Footlocker would be an excellent drag name. it's just like you start to think of all these crazy things. Or there's even a drag queen named, like, was it Karen from Finance or Lisa New Car? Like these puns. I think the more creative you get with it, the more interesting it is. But yeah, it's, or even there's drag queens that use their actual names, like Willem. That's their actual name out of drag, which is like, oh, that's funny. Or also there's another drag queen, Chad Michaels. That's their name out of drag. And so, yeah, and I think also it's important to like know that drag queens, like, they don't like to be called their drag name when they're out of drag. Because let's say, for example, like your drag name is Guy Gorgeous, and so like, someone sees you out of drag, they're like, Guy Gorgeous, and it's like, no, I'm just Guy. So it's like I understand that, but yeah, so like sometimes drag queens, like, they don't want to be referred to as whatever drag name they are, because it's not fully their identity, if that makes any sense.
Are drag queens, do they become drag queens with the makeup, with the clothes, and then they're not when they're sort of off duty?
Yeah, I think that's like a really good way to put it too. And then there's also, it was really interesting. I forget which season, but it's pretty recent. There was actually a hetero straight male as a contestant on RuPaul's Drag Race. Their name is Maddie Morphosis. Dude had like a girlfriend and everything. It was like, holy shit, there's a straight dude on this show. But it was also really fascinating to like see this person like embrace drag, and of course they're gonna get shitted on because you're a straight white dude, whatever. But like, they fully embraced it, and I feel like their drag has gotten so much better. And also, like, this person has a podcast too, so it's very interesting to see each drag queen's like evolution and like how much they grow. I knew one drag queen that actually went to college with one of my friends, and her and I connected when she did a show in San Francisco, and it turns out she bought a home where I lived in Boston. So like she started screaming out the zip code, and I was like, "All right, bitch, like, you understand." And then we just clicked, and you kind of end up forming these like organic friendships with these people, because like I really try to treat them as like, yeah, you are a person, you're super talented. I'm a fan of yours, but not in like a fucking creepy ass way where I'm like, I don't know, go like stalking you or some shit. But you know what I mean? It's just like I want them to know it's like your talent is like being recognized, and it's just like incredible. And like a lot of these queens also end up doing like music, or they come out with their own cosmetic line, whatever the case is. So it's nice to be able to support them where you can. So
I'm always curious to know about the community around a certain interest. First of all, are you part of the drag community in that sense? And how does it come into effect in your daily life?
mm, I don't think I'm like, I don't know, directly like I affiliate with XYZ drag community, right? It's just more of like I'm a fan of the show. I love a lot of these queens' work. I've made friends at some of these shows, and like we've connected, and it's nice to like be able to talk to somebody else and just kind of geek out on this drag race stuff, right? Because like not a lot of people are into it, which is really disappointing. Because also drag queen bingo needs to be a thing at like every design conference because it is the greatest thing ever. But like, yeah, it's nice to just kind of bond over like why you like this queen or why you don't, and it's just like these normal conversations that you could be having with your friends, but not like, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like it's a very open, not judgmental, welcoming community. Like, yeah, I think it's probably one of the most positive experiences to really, I don't know, just jumping right into it. Like I've never felt like awkward or anything. Like I've encouraged other people to go to shows like by themselves, or like, you just never know who you're gonna meet. And that's okay if like you don't meet anybody. And like, I don't know, like I said earlier, it's just guaranteed good fun. And yeah, like everyone just wants to have a good time in a safe space, and just act a whole ass fool while like lip syncing to like a song.
How has this love of drag affected you? how do you see yourself now as compared to before you got into drag?
Yeah, I mean, at first, I think I looked at it more from like an aesthetic standpoint, right? Like, wow, they are beautiful. But as you get more involved, I guess, like, I've definitely noticed a shift in like my confidence, right? And how I carry myself and how I let people treat me. And sometimes these queens just like have the words of wisdom that you wish you heard months ago or even when you were a kid. And I love this thing that they do. I don't know if they still do it anymore, but it's like towards the end of Drag Race, they'll show like RuPaul will hold a photo of like yourself as a kid, and it's like, oh, what would you tell like 5-year-old guy if he was to see what he looks like now or what he's doing now? And it's like really moving to hear what they would tell themselves. And it made me even reflect on that. Like, what would I tell 5-year-old Connie? Like, like she's doing great. Things suck and it's going to suck for a while, but you will come out of it doing better than you expected. And I feel like there's so much depth when it comes to drag than just again, like the sassiness, the lip syncs and this bitchy, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, it's all entertaining, but if it can help you reframe your focus on life in a positive way and heal you in ways that you least expect it, then like enjoy it all that you can. Because I really feel like in the moments where I was just so depressed, like my mental health went to shit, like drag really, really like, was there for me. And again, it just sounds so like kumbaya to even say that out loud, but just watching that show and connecting with people, I don't know, it was just so comforting. Even if I'm just watching the show by myself, it just made me feel less alone. And I remember that same drag queen, Jujubee, she had like a YouTube video up and she said something along the lines of like, if you're feeling like you're alone, like you're never alone. And it was just like, such simple words, but it was so comforting and reassuring. And it could have came from anybody really, but for whatever reason, the way she said it and that it came from her specifically, like it just was like very impactful. Like I just don't know how to describe it. It's like if someone was to tell you like you did a good job and it's like, oh cool, but like if there's someone specific that you're hearing it from, it adds more power to it. Or I don't know, there's just something about it. And again, I just love how transparent a lot of these queens have become because it's like helps me become a lot more vulnerable and embrace that side. That's a side that not many people want to put on display for whatever reason, right? Like at first, even for me being as open and transparent when it came to my mental health and just life in general, like I was like, what are people gonna say about me? But you kind of just get to a point and you learn a little bit of this from like drag queens. Like you don't have to give a fuck what they think, like this is your truth, like this is who you are, and if someone has a problem with it, they know where the door is. And I admire anybody that can be as honest with themselves and being able to share that. And not to say like just because you're not sharing like you suck or anything, but it's just like you are letting people know a very different side of you. And you'd be very surprised at how welcoming like even internet strangers can be about it. So yeah, like drag race has just really taught me a lot. And so again, like if you just put aside the like outfits, lip syncs, and all the sassiness and really get to know each queen, it's like somebody within that cast will resonate with you, and you want to learn more about their journey, whether it's like before drag race or after drag race.
That's awesome. Connie, where can people find you?
You can find me on my website, conniechen.design. I believe from there you can also find my LinkedIn, Blue Sky. There might be a Spotify link, or if you want to buy me a coffee, you can buy me a coffee. So yeah, conniechen.design.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
This is all for this episode of Design Downtime. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, I hope you enjoy your downtime.